So Javier Milei got up yesterday to the United Nations, and this is worth reading almost verbatim. Listen to this. To the authorities of the United Nations, to the representatives of the various countries that make up the United Nations, and to all the citizens of the world who are watching us, good afternoon. For those who do not know, I'm not a politician. I'm an economist, a libertarian, liberal economist who has never had the ambition to be a politician. I'm an economist, a liberal libertarian economist who's never had that. But I was honored to be honored with the position of president of the Argentinian Republic in the face of resounding failure of more than a century of collective policies. This is my first speech in front of the United Nations General Assembly, and I'd like to take this opportunity with humility to alert the various nations of the world to the path that they have been treading for decades and the danger of this organization's failure to fulfill its original mission. I do not come here to tell the world what to do. I come here to tell the world, on the one hand, what will happen if the United Nations continues to promote collectivist policies, which they have been promoting under the mandate of the 2030 Agenda, and on the other hand, what are the values of the new Argentina that we defend. I do want to begin giving credit where credit is due, the United Nations, and he goes into 70 years of blah, 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 blah. Then he says, the successful model of the United Nations, whose origins can be traced back to the ideas of President Wilson. Oh, yeah, it goes on to Wilson. Let me get. I want to be clear on the position of the Argentine agenda. The 2030 Agenda, although well-intentioned in its goals, is nothing more than a supranatural government program, socialist in nature, which seeks to solve the problems of modernity with solutions that violate the sovereignty of nation-states and violates people's right to life, liberty, and property. It is an agenda that pretends to solve poverty, inequality, and discrimination with legislation that will only deepen those problems. Because world history shows us the only way to guarantee prosperity is by limiting the power of the monarch, guaranteeing equality before the law, and defending the right to life, liberty, and the property of individuals. Does this sound like a founding father?
Eden Pure is back with their famous Thunderstorm air purifier. It's their top seller air purifier that quickly destroys viruses, odors, mold, and so much more. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you know it works. Any smell will vanish after just a few seconds of the Thunderstorm being plugged in. Odors, litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smokes, dirty diapers. Wow, I don't want to visit that house. The powerful Thunderstorm sends out O3 molecules that seek out and destroy odors. I have these in my house. They're great. The molecules go behind and under furniture. Nothing can hide from the Thunderstorm. Best of all, no filters to buy over and over again, saving you money. Start enjoying your home again and get several Thunderstorms. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for the whole home protection. You get 3 units for under $200. Put one in your basement, bedroom, family room, kitchen, wherever you need the air to be clean. Go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com. Use the promo code Beck and save.
It has been precisely the adoption of this agenda, which obeys privileged interests, the abandonment of the principles outlined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in the United Nations, that has distorted this role of this institution and put it on the wrong path. Thus, we have seen how an organization born to defend the rights of man has been one of the main proponents of the systematic violation of freedom, as, for example, with the global quarantines during the year 2020, which should be considered a crime against humanity. In this same house that claims to defend human rights, they have allowed bloody dictatorships such as Cuba and Venezuela to join the Human Rights Council without the slightest reproach. In this same house that claims to defend women's rights, they allow countries that punish their women for showing their skin to join the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. In this same house, systematically, They have voted against the state of Israel, which is the only country in the Middle East that defends liberal democracy, while simultaneously demonstrating its total inability to respond to the scourge of terrorism. In the economic sphere, collectivist policies have been promoted that threaten economic growth, violate property rights, hinder the natural economic process, preventing the most underprivileged countries in the world from freely enjoying their own resources in order to move forward. Regulations and prohibitions promoted precisely by the countries that developed thanks to doing the same thing they condemn today. Moreover, a toxic relationship has been promoted between global governance policies and international lending agencies, requiring the most neglected countries to commit resources they do not have to programs they do not need, turning them into perpetual debtors to promote the agenda of the global elites. Nor has the tutelage of the World Economic Forum helped, where the ridiculous policies are promoted with Malthusian blinders on, such as zero-emission policies, which harm poor countries in particular, to policies linked to sexual and reproductive rights. When the birth rate in Western countries is plummeting, heralding a bleak future for all, nor has the organization satisfactorily fulfilled its mission of defending the territorial sovereignty of its members, as we Argentines know firsthand in a relation with the Maldivian islands. We now have even reached a situation in which the Security Council, which is the most important organ of this House, has become distorted because of the veto of its permanent members, has begun to be used in defense of particular interests of some. Thus we are today, with an organization that is powerless to provide solutions to the real global conflicts, such as the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which has already cost the lives of more than 300,000 people, leaving a trail of more than 1 million wounded in the process. An organization that, instead of confronting these conflicts, invests time and effort into imposing on poor countries what and how they should produce, with whom they should associate, and what they should eat, what they should believe in, as the present Pact for the Future intends to dictate. This long list of errors and contradictions has not been gratuitous, but has resulted in the loss of credibility of the United Nations in the eyes of the citizens of the free world, in the denaturalization of its functions. I therefore would like to issue a warning. Listen to this. We are at the end of a cycle. Collectivism and moral posturing of the woke agenda have collided with reality and no longer have credible solutions to offer to the world's real problems. In fact, they never had them. If the 2030 agenda failed, as its own promoters acknowledge, the answer should be to ask ourselves if it was not an ill-conceived program to begin with. Accept that reality and change course. We cannot pretend to persist in the mistake by redoubling on a bet on an agenda that has failed. The same thing always happens with ideas coming from the left. They design a model according to what human beings should be, according to them, and when individuals freely act otherwise, they have no better solution than to restrict, repress, and restrict their freedom. We in Argentina have already seen with our own eyes what lies at the end of this road of envy and sad passions: poverty, brutalization, anarchy, and a fatal absence of freedom. We still have time to turn away from this course. I want to be clear about something so there are no misinterpretations. Argentina, which is undergoing a profound process of change, has decided to embrace the ideas of freedom, those ideas that say all citizens are born free and equal before the law, that we have inalienable rights granted by the Creator. Among them are the right to life, liberty, and property. Those principles which guide the process of change that we are carrying out in Argentina are the principles that will guide our international conduct from now on. We believe in the defense of life for all. We believe in the defense of property for all. We believe in freedom of speech for all. We believe in the freedom of worship for all. We believe in the freedom of commerce for all. And we believe in limited governments, all of them. And because in these times what happens in one country quickly impacts the others, we believe all people should live free from tyranny and oppression, whether it takes the form of political oppression, economic slavery, or religious fanaticism. That fundamental idea must not remain mere words. It must be supported in deeds, diplomatically, economically, through the combined strength of all countries, which stand for freedom. This doctrine of the new Argentina is no more and no less than the true essence of the United Nations organization. That is, the cooperation of the United Nations in defense of freedom. If the United Nations decides to retake the principles that gave it life and adapt it again to the role for which it was conceived, you can count on the unwavering support of Argentina in the struggle for freedom. You should also know that Argentina will not support any policy that implies the restriction of individual freedoms of trade, the violation of natural rights of individuals, no matter who promotes it or how much consensus that institution has. For this reason, we wish to express officially our dissent on the Pact of the Future, signed on Sunday, and we invite all of the nations of the free world to join us, not only in dissenting from this pact, but also in the creation of a new agenda for this noble institution, the agenda of freedom. From this day on, know that the Argentine Republic will abandon the position of historical neutrality that characterized us and will be at the forefront of the struggle in the defense of freedom. Because, as Thomas Paine said, those who wish to reap the blessings of freedom must, as men, endure the fatigue of defending it. May God bless the Argentines and the citizens of the world and the forces of heaven. May they be with us. Long live freedom, damn it. How great is that? I mean, this guy is quoting our Declaration of Independence and throwing it in our face. The Declaration of Independence and Thomas Paine, all of our founding principles. And he is saying, and look at Argentina, it is turning around. And he's saying, this has to be done because this Agenda 2030, this new Pact for the Future, which the United States passed, signed, excited about, he said it is going to cripple the entire world. And he's right. You want second citizenship. Maybe Argentina is the place to get second citizenship.
So the question is just how long he's going to be there. That would be my only concern, because he seems to be promoting all of the right things and abandoning a historical precedent of neutrality, historical neutrality. That's a big change. Does
he have enough people to support him? And not only that, but also, can he grow that and teach that to so many others? I mean, we had all of our founders in a row, and we started from scratch. And it took about 20 years to really screw it up.
Part of the reason why I think it's possible is because he's loud.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think maybe one of the problems we've faced over the past, 100 years or so is like, hey, we're obviously the most successful country. Everything's working really well. We all know it's because of capitalism and freedom. Everyone else should know it too. And over time, with exceptions, right? Like, certainly you'd say Reagan was an exception to this.
Yeah.
Of someone who really loudly spoke for the benefits of these principles.
Donald Trump is loud defender of property and freedom and individual and.
Yeah, he's still active. So I'm thinking more of a historical context. But like, I think as with Milei, if he's able to set this country on this path and make it obvious why it's succeeding throughout, and definitely another addition to this, and still up for debate, but if it succeeds, which so far It really is, but it's short term. We don't know for sure. If it succeeds long term, I think there could be a really major change in the world.
Yeah, there could be.
I mean,
all you need is one spark. Mm-hmm. The one thing that stuck out to me in his speech was one of the last paragraphs. As Thomas Paine said, those who wish to reap the blessings of freedom must, as men, endure the fatigue of defending it. How many people do we know say, I'm just tired. I'm just worn out. I just don't want to look at it anymore. Remember that line. Those who wish to reap the blessings of freedom must, as men, endure the fatigue of defending it.